Well, guess who's fucking back from the dead? Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It's me, your least delusional anime fan Shogun here, and we are so back for another Armchair Anime Review. As you've read in the title, we are going to be talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I'll preface this by saying that I wasn't the biggest fan of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1, and by wasn't the biggest fan, I mean I completely despised it. For the amount of hype it got while it was airing, I thought it was hot garbage and I had a lot of problems with it. Other than small issues like the number of useless characters, boring fights, forgettable events, my main problem with Season 1 was the atrocious pacing. The whole season just felt like 24 episodes of nothing at all. So back when JJK Season 1 was still really popular, people would come up to me and be like, "Yo, have you seen this show? Or have you finished it?" And because I remember that I dropped the show once before I finished the whole thing, so I would be like, yeah, I'm on episode 5 right now, so I don't really know much that's going on in the entire show. But when I actually tried to finish the thing, I was on episode 20. That 15 episode difference is kind of fucked up. And the fact that the show managed to make me believe that I've seen way less than what I have just speaks volume to how shit the pacing is. So instead of a monster of the week formula most shonen animes use, Jujutsu Kaisen got real creative with their storyline. They first started off with a Mahito high school arc, then followed up with a Kyoto vs Tokyo branch arc, and capped it with the Cursed Invasion arc. It's just bad, to worse, to mid. Look, I don't mind them spending however many episodes they want for world building or plot progression, but the result was just extremely unsatisfying. You cannot sit there and tell me that after 20 something episodes of hyping something up, the best that you could give me was Jogo vs Gojo. And not to mention the fact that it's one-sided. Okay, so I'm actually a dumbass for not doing any research before making this video, but I keep having the impression that the Jogo vs Gojo fight was something that happened towards the end of Season 1, but now that I'm actually skimming through the entire season again trying to find clips and stuff to put in the video, the whole Gojo vs Jogo fight actually happened like 5 or so episodes into Season 1, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. But my point still stands on how you can waste like 20 something episodes for a build-up that doesn't pay off. Anyways, back to the video. I understand that for younger audiences or fangirls, that shit would give you an orgasm, but for me, it was just very underwhelming. I legitimately couldn't believe that I wasted this much time on something as pitiful as this. Imagine you are having a 3-course meal at a restaurant and all you ever get served is the bread. And when the main course actually gets served, it's dog penis. It's legitimately dog food. Like, I did not spend this much time shoving bread down my throat just to be served something that's not on par with what I expected. Now, in terms of storyline and all those bullshit, I like to make comparisons of JJK Season 1 to Demon Slayer, where both animes shared similarities in doing jack shit for 20 episodes. But unlike Demon Slayer, JJK had a much worse payout, considering the fact that Demon Slayer basically saved the show with the whole Tanjiro vs Rui fight. I'm not saying that you need good animations or good fights to make a show entertaining, but rather that you don't need 50 episodes of build-up for a single event to happen. For example, in Attack on Titan Season 2, it took them 15 minutes or less or more, but not more than 1 episode to show us how threatening the Beast Titan was. And look at how long it took JJK to do the same with Mahito. And this is why JJK Season 1 was extremely frustrating for me to watch, and I ended up having a really shallow view of it. Okay, so now that I'm done ranting about Season 1 and why I hated it, we can move on to Season 2. Now, Season 2 was a massive improvement from Season 1. Despite the first 6 or so episodes being flashbacks of Gojo's past, it still provided good enough entertainment and context to a lot of future plot points. Now, even though the whole Star Plasma thing only has significant values in later chapters, and that the chronological order between this and the movie can be really confusing, it doesn't feel meaningless, unlike every single point in Season 1. And after the flashback is when we actually start getting into the main storyline, which is when the anime actually starts getting good. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I just thought it got better because it fixed a lot of the aforementioned problems I've had with Season 1. So, they first fixed the pacing by having significant events happen pretty much every other episode. So like Sukuna reviving, Gojo getting sealed, Mahito's defeat, etc. It's like blink and you miss it, or in this case skip an episode and you miss it, which is something that wasn't existent in Season 1 because I could skip the first half of it, and I can still figure out why Yuji wants to fight Mahito because he's a scumbag. Or I could also just skip the entirety of the Tokyo vs Kyoto students arc because the Kyoto students are just like a punctured condom, they are useless. And speaking of useless characters, they also fixed an issue from season 1 where I think that there are just too many meaningless characters who did not get enough screen time and left me questioning their existence in the first place. And how did they fix this in season 2? Oh my god, this is actually brilliant. By just not having them in the show. By doing this, not only do they have time to develop characters that are actually important, you also avoid the scenario where you have multiple characters on screen and have them not doing anything. Sure, you may have possibly wasted precious minutes introducing them, but in the bigger picture, it's just more feasible. This is not a sports anime, so unless it's an endgame scenario, you don't need more than 7 characters involved in every event that occurs in an arc. Another thing that helped out a lot was just slowing down the introduction of new characters. Obviously, there's gonna be fewer new characters introduced as the story progresses, but introducing them individually, like how they did with Ino and the Zenin Old Fort, makes a world of difference when compared to what they did with the Kyoto students. It just makes the show more digestible. And lastly, oh my god, I know I'm going to be called a toddler for saying this, but I just think that the fights in this arc are just exceptional. And I think a blessing in disguise was the removal of Gojo, because by removing Gojo, you remove the most broken-ass character in the entire show, well, aside from Sukuna, which in turn leads to more balanced fights. So before Sukuna joined, every fight felt 50-50, which gave it more weight and consequences. One of my biggest pet peeves in shonen animes is that the authors would sometimes be just overly reluctant to kill off characters. But thank god, GG or GG clutched up with this one. Considering the severity of the Shibuya incident, or at least how it was made out to be, it makes a lot of sense that we would see quite a few significant characters die throughout this arc. Now compare this to the 4th Great Ninja War in Naruto, where despite calling it the quote-unquote Great Ninja War, barely any significant characters died. Sure, you lost tens of thousands of like Chunin ninjas, but what about the important guys? Neji? Cool. Who else? I'm not saying that everyone except for Naruto needs to die, but at the same time, you can't call it a great ninja war while only killing off one significant character. Could you imagine if Inumaki was the only character who died during the Shibuya incident? It wouldn't be called the Shibuya incident, it would just be the Hallelujah incident, because they would be thanking God for giving them plot armor thick enough to withstand Hollow Purple. But yeah, that's my armchair review on Jujutsu Kaisen. I'd say that the viewing experience is pretty enjoyable, well, season 2 of course. I was never really a big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, but season 2 made me eat some of my words and I actually started reading the manga after episode 20. In my opinion, it's pretty clear why this is the consensus best arc of Jujutsu Kaisen. It is action-packed with really good pacing and for some people, emotional moments where I had to say goodbye to certain characters. Overall, it's an all-around improvement from season 1. Now, do I think that this skyrockets Jujutsu Kaisen up the shonen tier list? Hell no. Having one good arc does not offset every other bad arc you have. Although season 3 is still yet to be aired, having kept up with the manga, it is safe to say that this is what PEAK Jujutsu Kaisen looks like. So with that, my final rating for Jujutsu Kaisen season 2 is an 8 out of 10. Really entertaining from start to finish, and boy did they do an incredible job with it. Hats off to them. That's about it for this video, hope you guys enjoyed, and JJK fans, please don't come at me with a pitchfork, I've only said nice things today. And yeah, that's about it, and I'll see ya.